full text, Bishop Kukah's Christmas message that sparked reactions. The middle grounds of optimism have continued to shift, and many genuinely ask, what have we done to the girls? Does Nigeria have a future? Being the 2020 Christmas message to Nigerians by the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Hassan Kukah. 1. Another Christmas with dark clouds of death. Let me paraphrase the holy prophet Isaiah, who said, "For Jerusalem, Nigeria's sake," in quote, "I will not be silent until her vindication shines forth like the dawn. No more shall people call you forsaken, nor your land desolate, but you shall be called by delight. You shall be called my delight, and your land espoused." Isaiah 16:1 and 4. Against the backdrop of our endless woes, ours has become a nation wrapped in desolation. The prospects of a failed state stare us in the face. Endless bloodletting, a collapsing economy, a social anomie, domestic and community violence, kidnappings, armed robberies, etc. Ours has become a house of horror, with fear stalking our homes, highways, cities, hamlets, and entire communities. The middle grounds of optimism have continued to shift, and many genuinely ask, what have we done to the girls? Does Nigeria have a future? Where can we find hope? Like the Psalmist, we ask, from where shall our help come? Psalm 120 verse 1. Psalm 120 verse 1. Whatever the temptation to despair, we cannot give up. The psalmist asked where our help shall come from. He answered that it would come from the Lord. Therefore, like Zachariah, the father of John the Baptist, we priests must stand before the mercy seat of God. And plead the cause of our great nation. Luke 1 verse 8. Like Abraham, we must plead for the Lord to save our nation, because we have more than 10 righteous men. Genesis 18 verse 16. Like Moses, we believe that as long as our hands are held up in prayer, the Lord will be on our side. Exodus 17 verse 11. These are trying but life-changing moments in the history of our nation. Politics and economics alone will not solve our problems. There is enough hate and bitterness to go around. We need to pause, reflect, pray, be honest and courageous in facing tomorrow. Yes, our dreams have been aborted. Yes, our commonwealth has been stolen. Yes, our cancer of corruption has metastasized. Yes, we have been guilty of patricide, fratricide, and attempted even suicide. Yes, we are hungry, angry, thirsty, and starving. Yet, we stand firmly with unshaken belief that no matter the temptation, the world has known worst times. This may be the worst of times, but for men and women of faith, they can be the best of times. We must stand firm and resolute, because our Redeemer liveth. Job 19:25. 2. Annus mirabilis, or annus horribilis. Annus mirabilis or annus horribilis. The roads to the graves are busier than those to the tombs. Amidst the wails and laments, I hear the congregant saying, "The world is coming to an end. It has never been so sad." Yes, People are dying, but they are not dying now. They are not dying more now than they did in recent years. It is the social media and its connectivity that has given us a sense of greater urgency and added to our seeming despair with the way things are. The social media is value neutral. It depends on what we make of it. Its instantaneous impact is often times gruesomely traumatic, but the other benefits more than compensate. In a way, the choices we make help us decide whether this year is our annus mirabilis or annus horribilis. When Isaac Newton, at the age of 23, made the spectacular discoveries in the areas of calculus, motion, optics, and gravitation, the year of those discoveries, 1666, was referred to as annus mirabilis, the year of joy. On the other hand, in 1992, when the marriages of 3 of her children collapsed, Queen Elizabeth, in her Christmas address, referred to that year as her annus horribilis, the year of horror. As such, notwithstanding all the earth-shaking impacts of the COVID-19, our individual, communal, and national tragedies, it is not just a choice between annus mirabilis and annus horribilis. At various levels, there have been gray areas of hope, flickers of light, achievements, and so on. It's to those flickers of hope that we must cling tenaciously. For our son, Anthony Joshua, the last of his battle to Andy Rees on June 1, 2019, after 25 fights without a lapse. That year was his annus horribilis, when he pummeled Kubrat Pelvu. Huvel. This year became his annus mirabilis. When he pummeled Kubrat Huvel, this year became his annus mirabilis. Things change, and joy or sorrow, we must know that nothing lasts forever. What matters is how we handle failure. 3. Another Christmas in cloud of doom. Not unexpectedly, this Christmas is again coming against a backdrop of so much pain, sorrow, and uncertainty in our land. We all seem to have become sedated and incurred pain. Tragedy has been standing as our gatekeeper. For over 10 years now, at almost each Christmas, a dark pall of horror, sorrow, and death has consistently hung in our horizon, threatening to eclipse the promises of the joy of Christmas. Recall the bombing of St. Teresa Catholic Church, Madala, on Christmas Day in 2011. In the wake of the Christmas Day bombing, I issued a statement titled An Appeal to Nigerians. In the statement, which enjoyed a wide circulation, I stated, all of this should cause us to pause and ponder about the nature of the force of evil that is in our midst, and appreciate the fact that, contrary to popular thinking, we are not faced with a crisis or conflict between Christians and Muslims. Rather, like the friends of Job, we need to humbly appreciate the limits of our human understanding. Terror is a product of hate, but while hate tries to divide us, terror and death should pull us together. 4. Is government suspended animation? As our country drifts almost rudderless, we seem like people traveling without map, without destination, and with neither captain nor crew. Citizens have nowhere to turn to. After he assumed power, a delegation of the Catholic Bishop Conference had audience with President Buhari. In the course of our discussion, the President shared with us his frustration over the state of decay and rot that he had met. In frustration, I vividly recall him saying that from the decay and neglect, it seemed as if preceding governments had not been doing nothing but just eating and going to the toilet. Looking back, one might conclude that those were happy times because at least there was food to eat and people could go to the toilet. Now, a journey to the toilet is considered by the poor an extra luxury. Our country's inability to feed itself is one of the most dangerous signs of state failure and a trigger for violence. 5. Breaking the ice. From Chibok through Dapchi to Kankara. The sleepy town of Kankara, just 130 kilometers outside Katsina, like Chibok and Dapchi before it, has leapt into prominence not because they now have potable water, electricity, or any dramatic improvement in the quality of their lives. Rather, it is because of large footprints of the evil men who have passed through their terrain. As always, we were unsure of how many children were missing. 80, 820, 800, 500, 520, 333, 320. No one knew. The numbers kept changing between the government and Boko Haram. The story of Chibok and Dapchi was for some time a metaphor that exposed the vulnerability of girl child. Kankara has added to the mix, and now we have the face of mortal dangers of the Nigerian child in northern Nigeria. The Almajiri is the poster child of the horrible and inhuman conditions of the northern child. It is best kept secret that the region refuses to confront, but it has now exposed underbelly. It is a best kept secret that the region refuses to confront, but it has now exposed its underbelly. Now, what's next for the children of the North? In another 20 or 10 years, these children will be leaders in their communities. Will they remember? And how will they remember? Their faith and future are a dream deferred, a nightmare that will be ignited by the fire next time. We thank God that the children have been returned safely. This is easy. This is the easy part. The challenge now is how to deal with the curse inflicted by a derelict nation, which is still unstable or unwilling to protect its citizens. Yes, we commend the federal and state governments for the rescue operation. The larger issues now are whether the federal government understands the evil web of intrigues into which Boko Haram has tied it. Will the federal government continue to reward and fund Boko Haram by playing its game? How long can this circle of deceit last? For given that every kidnap merely strengthens their arsenal, the men of darkness have shown far greater capacity to shock and awe a foreign nation by constantly landsliding us all. Will it end? When will it all end? When will it all end? 6. A nation in search of vindication. This government owes the nation an explanation as to where it is headed, as it seems to journey into darkness. The spilling of this blood must be related to a more sinister plot that is beyond our comprehension. Are we going to remain hostile by these evil men, or are they gradually becoming part of a large plot to steal the fate of our country? President Buhari deliberately sacrificed the dreams of those who voted for him to what seems like a program to stratify and institutionalize northern hegemony by reducing President Buhari deliberately sacrificed the dreams of those who voted for him to what seems like a program to stratify and institutionalize northern hegemony by reducing others in public life to second-class status. He has pursued his self-defeating and alienating policy at the expense of greater national cohesion. Every honest Nigerian knows that there is no way any non-Northern Muslim president could have done a fraction of what President Buhari has done by his nepotism and gotten away with it. There would have been a military coup a long time ago, or we would have been at war. The president may have concluded that Christians will do nothing and will live with these actions. He may be right, and we Christians cannot feel sorry that we have no pool of violence to draw from or threaten our country. However, God does not sleep. We can see from the inexplainable dilemma of his north. 7. Nepotism and the worship of false gods. It is curious that President Buhari's partisanship and commitment to reinforcing the fundamentals of northern hegemony have had the opposite consequences. For a long time, beyond the pile of politics, every prominent northerners with a conscience have raised the red flag, pointing out the consequences of President Buhari's nepotism on national cohesion and trust. With time, as hunger, poverty, insecurity engulfed the north, the president's own supporters began to despair and lament about the state of their collective deliberation. Was this not supposed to be their song? The north, that had the president's sought privilege, has become a cauldron of pain and a valley of dry bones. Today, the north itself is crying the most, and why not? No one has suffered as much as they have and continued to. The helplessness is palpable, and the logic is incomprehensible. One northern imam after the other have posted videos of lamentation on the social media asking why, with all the cards of power in the hands of northern Muslims, everything is bursting in the seams. How come our region has become a cesspool of blood and death? Why did President Buhari hand over a majority of the plum jobs to northern Muslims? Was it for efficacy and efficiency? What's the logic? President Buhari must have paused and turned around because his policy of nepotism has been rejected by the gods. During the NSAS protests, the North pretended that it was ensconced. It was ensconced from the pain that was driving the protests, and that they had nothing to complain about. The northern elites claimed that the protests were part of a plot by Christians to overthrow the northern Muslim government. Their sentiments false but understandable. However, it turned out to be the lull before the storm. The dam soon broke as the bandits tightened their grip on the region as the spiral of kidnappings, abductions, and killings of innocent citizens intensified. The North poured into denouement. The idea of a united North seems to have ended. The Northern Governors Forum has split into the three zones, with the killings, kidnappings, and adoptions of emirs and other traditional rulers in the north. The signals have gone out that no one is safe and nothing is happening. In the wake of the NSAS protests, the traditional rulers across the country assembled to express solidarity with the president. Then it all changed. The Emir of Katsina, the president's hometown, only recently said, "We cannot continue to live like animals. I have not seen this type of country." His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Sahad Abubakar, said that the north has now become the worst part of the entire country. The Senate, whose leadership is almost totally dominated by northern Muslims, has raised alarm. The Northern Elders Forum has called on the president to resign. Has the politics of nepotism run its course? Perhaps the spirit of Christmas should offer us an end. 8. A people that works in darkness has seen a great light. The rot and decay in our country today is evidence of a people who have not yet seen the light. The experience of northern Nigeria is evidence that nepotism is a counterfeit currency. The nation must therefore now pull together. It is not enough to blame the military. After all, they neither run the economy or the bureaucracy. It is not enough to even blame the political class or even the president alone. We found our way here by the choices we have made as a nation over time. Indeed, the colonialists claimed that they were bringing light to a dark country. In a way, despite the cost, we could see ingredients of their life: good education, running water, relatively good roads, security, amongst others. We finally accepted democracy as the platform for actualizing this. However, today, there is evidence that we have literally returned to the cave. Those times when life was brutish, nasty, and short. Each and every one of us has contributed to the darkness of our nation. The light of Christ, which we all received at baptism, calls on us to act in the mind of Christ. To be a follower of Christ is to be in his footsteps. This moment calls on us as Christians to celebrate the simplicity of Christ represented in Christmas. Joy to the world, the Lord has come, the song says. Jesus has offered us a roadmap. We are challenged to bring light into the darkness of our society. Darkness has its own logic. St. Paul reminds us without Christ, our lives are characterized by immorality, filthy, and indecent actions, worship of idols and witches. People have become enemies and they fight. They become jealous, angry, and ambitious. They separate into parties and groups. They are envious, get drunk, and have orgies. Galatians 5:19-21. When it is dark, we cannot see our way and we stumble. Nigeria has stumbled so much. It is time for us to turn on the lights of the torch. Each of us can make a change. 9. Wailers and redeemers. Finally, today, amidst the pains and the trials, we can say that the psalmist, finally, today, amidst the pains and the trials, we can say with the psalmist, our tears have become our bread. Psalm 43 verse 2. We have no reason to doubt that at the fulfillment of time, in His own time, the Lord will dispense justice to our nation. It will come as there follows light. Our brother Femi Adesina, a pastor of the Forest Square Gospel Church, was right when he referred to those who were calling attention to our situation as wailers. The wailing started quite early in the day. To the herdsmen across Nigeria whose cattle have been lost to rustlers, bandits, or lightning, the prophet Zachariah said, "There is a sound of a shepherd's well, for their glory has been ruined." Zachariah 11 verse 3. To the thousands of widows left to mourn their husbands and children across our country, the prophet Jeremiah is saying, "Send for the wailing women, that they may come. Let them make haste and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may shed tears and our eyelids flow with water." Jeremiah 9 verse 17. For our helpless nation overrun by bandits, Prophet Jeremiah still says, "A voice is heard in Ramah, mourning and great weeping, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more." Jeremiah 31 verse 15. So Pastor Adesina was right. On the sad situation in Nigeria, the United Nations have wailed. The Pope has wailed. Cardinals, archbishops, bishops, priests, pastors have wailed. Emirs have wailed. Politicians have wailed. The Sultan has wailed. Surely it is time for the Lord to hear the wailers as they have sung their redemption songs. With St. Paul, I say, the hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The light is nearly over the day. The light is nearly over the day, is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Romans 13:11-12. Let us unite and seek the Lord in sincerity, because the Lord will vindicate the righteous. Happy Christmas to you.